Despite growing inflation, a collapsing border, a surge in crime in liberal cities, Democrats across the nation are now trying to capitalize on the Supreme Court's potential move to overturn Roe v. Wade, using it as a way to jolt voters heading into the midterms. Joining us now to discuss, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General Tom Dupree. Tom, great to see you tonight. Let me ask you this. Whoever leaked this opinion was either trying to influence the justices with respect to how they eventually stand on this decision, or voters when it comes to the midterm elections. Your thoughts? Because the Democrats right now, instead of focusing on the leaker, are bringing the conversation back to abortion itself, and they're also attacking the justices on the court, saying they lied at their Senate hearings.
Yes, I think that the leaker, whoever he or she might be, may have had multiple motives here. I think one was clearly to try to influence the justices on the Supreme Court, either to make them refuse to change their vote or maybe pressure them to change their vote. I think the second motive, as you say, was probably to stir the pot a little bit on the political front, to try to rile up the base, to get voters interested, active, maybe have an effect on the midterm elections by saying, hey, look, here's a Supreme Court decision that might be coming down the pike in the next few months.
During a speech last night in Washington, Kamala Harris made some remarks on this. I want you to listen.
Those Republican leaders who are trying to weaponize the use of the law against women, well, we say, how dare they? How dare they tell a woman what she can do and cannot do with her own body?
Tom, you're an attorney. And if you read the opinion, you would know that Justice Alito said essentially that this isn't necessarily a constitutional issue. And that's really what he's focusing on. He's not attacking women or their rights. He's just saying it's not within the purview of the Supreme Court to make this decision, but it should be decided at a state level. Yet Kamala Harris gets up there and makes it an attack on women.
It's no such thing. Look, Justice Alito in the draft opinion is not weaponizing the law. He's interpreting the Constitution. He's reading the plain text of the document and interpreting it in good faith the best he can to see what it protects and what it doesn't protect. I think the Democrats are going a little overboard here in overstating what they think is the consequence. They've basically said that this opinion, if it stands, will be the end of Western civilization as we know it. It'll roll back rights, et cetera, et cetera. It's not. It's narrowly confined to the abortion issue. Justice Alito makes that clear, that all this opinion is going to affect is the issue of abortion, and no other rights are at issue or should be construed or interpreted to be at issue in this decision.
Right, because each set of issues, right, is completely different set of circumstances, and is interpreted in a different way. Yet President Biden gets on the stage essentially and tells the public, oh no, this is part of a big agenda and you all are going to be under attack. Listen.
Let me tell you about this ultra MAGA agenda. It's extreme, as most MAGA things are. The ultra MAGA agenda. I don't want to hear Republicans talk about deficits and their ultra MAGA agenda. The Republicans, the mega Republicans, the MAGA Republicans. I don't want to mispronounce it. The MAGA Republicans. This MAGA crowd.
The MAGA crowd, they're very extreme, Tom. And let's just be clear. Let's say if the opinion that Justice Alito wrote ends up being the decision of the court, and it does give the authority to states to impose abortion law, that will not make abortion illegal in this country. There still will be states that allow you to have abortions.
Yes, it really just changes the battleground over this issue from the courts to the state houses across America, where the question of abortion, whether it can or should be regulated, how it should be regulated, will be fought out through the democratic process rather than being decided as a matter of constitutional law. And to the president's comments about the MAGA agenda, look, the Supreme Court is not political. It's not Republicans. It's not Democrats. They don't have an agenda. They don't have a MAGA agenda. They are 9 men and women who are operating in good faith to interpret the Constitution to the best of their God-given ability. They're not political actors.
Yeah, and when it comes to so many other issues, it's fine for the states to decide. It's fine for them to be and set soft on crime policies, for example. It's fine for them to impose, in some cases, very extreme tax and spend rules, right? But it's not fine, as far as the Democrats are concerned, to weigh in on medical health issues. And there are many people out there who say, absolutely not. Let your state, let the people around you, let the democratic process work, and let the leaders that you elect decide, what the rules should be.
Well, and remember, it was our old friend Al Gore who always talked about how the states were laboratories of democracy and that they could try out different approaches. And if the people of a state don't like the decisions their leaders are making, they can elect different leaders, or they can move to a different state. So it's interesting how people sometimes like local democracy and local decision making
when it
and local
works
control
for them.
when it benefits them, but not when it doesn't.
Exactly. It's more of the hypocrisy that we've discussed in so many other themes as well. Tom, great to see you tonight. Really appreciate your time and the analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie.